Ever find yourself wondering just how fast a fish can swim? I mean, like, really fast. Could they ever outrun, say, a sports car?
It's amazing, isn't it? Some tuna, the yellowfin in particular, can hit bursts of speed that rival those high-end cars we see.
Seriously, how fast are we talking?
We're talking close to 70 miles per hour.
70 miles an hour for a fish. That's incredible.
That's about as fast as the speed limit on some highways. It's incredible. That's why today we're taking a deep dive exploring the world of tuna.
So we're diving into their evolution, how they went from the ocean depths to our dinner plates.
And how something so incredibly evolved for survival is now facing threats because of its own success.
It's a fascinating story, so let's start at the beginning. Where did these, what did you call them, swimming sports cars even come from?
Well, tuna, as we know them, have gone through about 400 million years of evolution. 400 million years, adapting to underwater life.
Wow.
Take their constant swimming, for instance. It's not just about speed, you know? It's fundamental to their survival.
What do you mean? They can't, like, chill out on the ocean floor for a bit?
Not really, no. They've evolved this amazing way to get oxygen from the water. They have to swim constantly with their mouths open.
Wow.
That forces water over their gills, and that's how they breathe. If they stop, they basically suffocate.
No kidding. So it's like a continuous game of keep away, except it's their life on the line. Incredible.
Exactly.
Okay, so constant swimming, the need for speed. Sounds more like a marathon runner than a fish.
Yeah.
What else have they got? What other adaptations make tuna such a successful species?
Well, here's a fun fact. Tuna are warm-blooded.
Hold on. Warm-blooded. Are you serious?
Yep. Just like us mammals.
I had no idea.
It lets them control their own body temperature, which means they can live in a wider range of environments. And it makes them very, very efficient hunters.
So we've got the speed, the constant motion, warm-blooded. You weren't kidding when you called them perfectly evolved.
They're incredible creatures.
But with all that, wouldn't they be kind of, I don't know, tough?
Yeah.
To eat, I mean.
Yeah. Isn't it ironic? The same adaptations that make them incredible predators also made them pretty unappetizing to eat for centuries. They weren't always the culinary superstars we think of today.
Seriously. You're telling me ancient cultures didn't want to eat tuna?
It's true. They were more of a nuisance than a delicacy back then.
That's wild. So how did people view them back then? Did they just ignore them altogether?
Not exactly. We have evidence of ancient Mediterranean cultures using what's called labyrinth fishing to catch them.
Labyrinth fishing. Sounds intense.
Imagine a massive system of nets, like a maze, designed to trap entire schools of tuna.
So less of a relaxing fishing trip, more like a carefully planned engineering project.
Precisely. And don't forget, tuna are huge, they're strong, and they're fast. These labyrinths really show off the ingenuity of those early cultures, their sheer determination to kind of outsmart nature.
You know, it really highlights how differently they saw these fish back then. Not a tasty meal, more like a worthy opponent.
It was about proving something, I think. Demonstrating human dominance. It was a spectacle, you see.
A spectacle, for sure. But what about their sign? Wouldn't that have made them valuable for food, even back then?
You'd think so, right? But they're big, they're fast, and their meat spoils quickly. All that meant they weren't really a major food source for a long time.
Spoiling quickly makes sense, all that muscle constantly moving.
Exactly. Catching them was too difficult, and it wasn't really worth the effort.
So fascinating how what we consider a delicacy now was once practically undesirable. So when did that change? When did tuna go from trash fish to treasure?
That's a story in itself. It takes us to 1970s Japan with a pretty forward-thinking airline manager named Akira Okazaki.
An airline manager. Now, this is where things get really interesting. Okay, 1970s Japan, we've got Akira Okazaki, an airline manager. Not exactly who you'd picture bringing tuna to the world stage.
Right. It's an unexpected twist, but keep in mind, this is post-war Japan.
A time of huge growth and a real fascination with the West, especially their food.
Exactly. American culture was everywhere.
Influencing their tastes, I imagine.
Absolutely. And Okazaki, he understood Japanese consumers and he knew about international trade. He saw an opportunity with tuna, especially in that cultural moment.
I see, but how do you make that leap? Going from tuna being undesirable to suddenly it's the star. What was the turning point?
He took those things that made tuna seem bad and made them good. Red meat, like beef, fit perfectly with the desire for Western food.
Right. It's like he turned weaknesses into selling points.
And spoiling quickly. That became a sign of freshness, luxury. He wasn't selling just tuna, he was selling an experience.
A taste of the West, all thanks to his airline being able to get it there fast.
Exactly. The world was hooked. literally. That first bluefin tuna auction at Tsukiji Market in '72, 5 fish from Canada, they sold for a crazy $40,000.
$40,000. Back
Huh.
then, that's unbelievable. What a moment for tuna. Talk about striking gold.
Right.
So then demand just explodes. Tuna becomes the delicacy it is today.
Exactly right. Okazaki's risk paid off, maybe too well. The world got a taste, and they wanted more.
And when anything gets that popular, that commercialized, there are always consequences.
Yes, the impact on the environment, all this love for tuna, it's been significant.
Overfishing.
Exactly. Driven by that demand, those high prices, and it's pushing some tuna species to the brink.
It's almost painful to hear about those million-dollar tuna at auctions, knowing what you're saying about their populations.
It's complicated. Those prices show how scarce they are because of overfishing. Southern bluefin tuna, for instance, now it's critically endangered.
Critically endangered, that's awful, like the white rhino.
A harsh reminder that our appetites can have consequences we don't intend.
We've seen it happen before, a species pushed too far. Are there any efforts to protect these fish?
There are, and this is where what consumers know really matters. Organizations are working hard to promote sustainable fishing, rebuild those depleted populations, educate the public, but they can't do it alone.
So what can we do as consumers? I love sushi, but not if it means a species goes extinct. How do we even start?
It starts with knowing what you're buying, making responsible choices. Look for sustainably caught seafood. Ask questions at restaurants about their tuna, where it came from, how it was caught.
Okay, so knowledge is power.
Support those groups fighting for these incredible creatures. Every choice makes a difference.
It's like you said before, what we buy sends a message. We can be part of the solution, not the problem.
Exactly. And there's something else. It really shows how our actions can backfire. Ever heard of fake tuna?
Fake tuna. Wait, you mean? It's not even tuna.
You got it. Oil fish, often sold as white tuna, a cheaper option. But it's got these things called wax esters, really hard for our bodies to digest.
So not only is it dishonest, it could be dangerous to eat.
Sadly, yes. Unsustainable practices, they can backfire, hurting both people and the environment.
What a cautionary tale. We began with the tuna's incredible journey, their speed, their endurance, all those amazing adaptations, and now it seems like those same things are causing their decline. What a twist.
It really is. It makes you think, right? Can we appreciate these creatures without loving them into extinction?
That's the big question. Maybe a multi-million-dollar question, considering the prices of some tuna these days. But really, it's up to all of us to be more aware. We can't just ignore this. What can we do to stop it?
Don't worry, it's not all bad news. There are dedicated people, organizations, they're working hard to protect tuna, promote responsible fishing, find new solutions, and they're making progress.
That's good to hear. So it's not about swearing off sushi. It's about being smarter about it and supporting those sustainable practices you mentioned.
Exactly. It's like this. Tuna thrived for millions of years, a perfect balance. Their adaptations let them rule the ocean. Our challenge, and it's a big one, is figuring out how we fit in, how we appreciate them, benefit from this incredible species, but not, love them to death.
It's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
But it sounds like people are already on it. What are these conservation efforts? What's being done so that generations from now, people can still be amazed by tuna like we are?
Lots of things. We have groups focused on setting fishing limits, enforcing them, making sure we don't take too much. They're studying how tuna migrate, advocating for those marine reserves, areas where tuna populations can recover, be left in peace to thrive.
So attacking the problem from all sides. What about those new solutions you talked about? What gives you hope there?
One big one is tuna aquaculture, basically farming tuna,
Folks-
but doing it right, sustainably, so it makes sense commercially too.
Okay, like responsible farming.
Yes, it's still early days, but it could be huge. Take the pressure off wild tuna, but we still get to enjoy it.
That's promising. It's good to know people are out there thinking differently about these problems. It's not hopeless. It's, like you said, a call to action.
Exactly. And it's not just scientists or those conservation groups. Every time we choose sustainable seafood, support businesses doing it right, even just learning about the issues, we're part of making sure the tuna story doesn't end here.
We started out marveling at how tuna evolved. Those amazing adaptations, like they're the ultimate ocean athletes. It'd be tragic if those same things led to their downfall. But you've given us hope.
There is hope. Tuna's future isn't certain, that's for sure. But by understanding what's at stake, supporting sustainable practices, those working so hard to protect them, we can all be part of a new chapter, one where tuna are still swimming in our oceans for generations to come.
From evolution to overfishing, ancient fishing to modern conservation, What a journey into the world of tuna. A powerful reminder that even when things look tough for the environment, there's always hope and there's always something we can do. Thanks for diving in with us today.